Greetings, my bright and talented students. This video is going to highlight our last verbs worksheet. You've watched a video on verbs, you've listened to me give you information about verbs in class, and in addition to that, you had the opportunity to put your knowledge to practice on this worksheet. And I've graded the worksheet and given it back to you, and now I want you to go back through and pay attention as I walk you through each problem. Try to figure out what you did right, what you did wrong, and try to learn from both. Remember, it's important to learn from your mistakes, just like it's important to learn from the things that you have been successful at as well. So with that said, we are going to start with exercise number 1. Underline the correct verb form from the choices given. Very important to always read the directions. It says clearly right here that we have to underline the correct verb form. Okay? I should have knew or known. Well, have means that we're using past participle here, en ending, so it couldn't be knew, it has to be known. That I could have froze or frozen my toes. Same thing, have is letting us know that it's past participle, so we have to use the en ending, frozen. Number 2, as soon as Manuel had chose or chosen. Once again, any form of the verb have lets us know that we're dealing with past participle, so it is chosen instead of chose. Okay. As soon as Manuel had chosen his subject, he began or begun his talk. Well, there's no have, no form of have here, so therefore we know it is began. The coat that I had, wore or worn. Well, had is used again, so we know we're dealing with past participle, so we're going to choose worn. Only once, had been, stole or stolen. Okay, now we have the past participle had, and been is being used as well. The correct answer here is stolen. Number 4, the dress that I would have, we have to decide if it's chose or chosen, but we have the past participle form again, so we know that it is chosen. Was it tore or torn? The answer would be torn. Number 5, has the bell rang or rung, or would I have or of heard it here? Okay, now that sounds confusing when you read all of it together, that's for sure. But when we put the correct answer in and omit the incorrect ones, it'll make a little more sense. The answer here, number 5, we want to use rung. And now for this verb, we want to choose have. Okay, we're using the past participle. It's I have heard it here. Okay. Number 6, the man who had, there's that past participle marker again, obviously it's got to be stolen, the money was knew or known by the police. Obviously we're going to use known there. Number 7, you should. Now what this of deal is a lot of times when people use the contraction should have, okay, they forget that should have is a contraction for should have, not should of. Okay, so don't make that mistake, which means that we want to choose have here, because that is what we're saying. We're not saying should of, it's should have. Known that the song was, okay, and in this case we want to use sung by Marilyn. Number 8, has he always drove or driven? Well, once again we have has. We're going to use driven so carelessly. And or has he just, once again we're going to use begun to do so. Number 9, she, okay, we're no past participle here, so it's began. To see that she had, past participle marker again, should be chosen. Number 10, snow fell, no past participle, after the pond had, past participle, so we know we're for sure dealing with the en ending. Number 11, our doorbell is, the answer here is worn out because the children have, and in this case we're going to use rung it too many times. Number 12, 2 cups have fallen off the shelf and have, past participle, gotta be broken. There we go. Number 13. Barbara, is it sang or sung? Well, there's no past participle, so we know we're going to use sang instead. The song that was, chose or chosen? Chosen by the committee. Number 14. I would have, oop, there's have again, so we're going to use brought my stereo. If it hadn't been, there's stolen, the EN version. Number 15. The telephone rang just as I began to study. And that's it for this worksheet. Okay, recap it. Make sure you have the correct answers. If not, try to figure out why. If you still struggle with it, then see me for some extra help, or your English teacher, whatever the case may be. But let's look at the second side of your verb sheet now. More verb practice. This one tells us to underline the verb or verbs in each sentence. Okay? Now remember, when trying to isolate the verb, figure out if there is an action taking place, then you know that the action that is taking place is the verb of the sentence. Okay? If not, look for a linking verb. Most common linking verbs are the form of to be. Okay? Is, am, are, was, and so on and so forth. All right? And there's another tip that I'll give you as we're exploring exercise 2 that'll help you with this as well. But in this case, we know there's an action taking place here. That action is talking. Okay, Miss Davis talks a lot, so we're going to underline that and say that is our verb. Remember, if we wanted to find the subject of this sentence, it'd be pretty easy. All we would have to do is say who or what talks a lot, and the answer to that question gives us the subject. Who or what talks a lot? The answer to that question is Miss Davis, leading us to believe that Miss Davis is the subject of this sentence. She is talkative. Well, we really don't have an action taking place here, so we have to make sure that we are paying attention for linking verbs, and that is exactly what we have here. The word is a linking verb. I ran into the door. Well, running is an action, so the fact that ran is in this sentence leads us to believe that ran is the action verb. We read sounder. Well, read is once again an action, therefore it is the verb of this sentence. I enjoyed it. Okay? Enjoying is taking place here. Who or what enjoyed it? I. I is the subject. Enjoyed is the verb. Notice the ending here. Okay, when you're trying to determine if you have a verb in a sentence, the ed ending is a lot of times indicative of the fact that you're dealing with a verb. So keep that in mind. Why should we be aware of the letters ed at the end? Remember that this could possibly be a verb in its past tense form. That's exactly what's happening here. I think about sounder all the time. Well, what's happening here? Some thinking, right? So think would be the verb of this sentence. I hope we get other good books this year. What's happening here? The subject of the sentence is hoping, right? So hope is the verb. I like all kinds of books. Well, in this case, the verb is like. I had a root canal yesterday. Okay, what happened here is this person had a root canal yesterday. So that is the verb in this case. The dentist was nice. Well, there's no action taking place here, but lo and behold, we have a form of to be, which is was. The dentist was nice. Now notice, remember linking verbs, okay? Linking verbs normally link the subject to a word that describes it. Who or what was nice? The answer to that question gives us the subject, so dentist would be the subject here. And what is nice doing? It's describing the subject, and that's what linking verbs help us do. They allow us to link the subject to a word that describes or renames it, and that's exactly what's happening in this case. All right, exercise 2 gets a little more complicated because remember, in exercise 1 here, we didn't have to label like the type of verb that we were dealing with. As long as we could underline it, we were good to go. However, in exercise 2, we are being asked to underline the verb in each sentence. If the verb is an action verb, mark A after the sentence. And if it is a linking verb, we have to mark L at the end of the sentence. So let's see how we do here. Miss Outagest plays with her computer. Well, what does she do? She plays. So we know that plays is definitely going to be the action verb here. The directions tell us to write an A. Pardon me. My tablet is acting up a little bit, so I'm just going to delete that, and we'll give it another try here. There we go. So plays is an action verb. Okay, hopefully everybody sees that. She also watches TV. Well, we know that watches usually is a verb, and because of that, we also know to watch something is an action. So after my handy dandy tablet stops messing up on me, I'll be able to finish this. Don't laugh at me, I know you are right now, but that's okay. I will make it work eventually. Sooner or later it'll agree with me. If not, I'm gonna go get a hammer and you're gonna hear a loud bang. Okay, so we know we're dealing with an action verb here. She likes Friends. Well, the act of liking something here is taking place, so we're gonna underline that, and we know that to like something is an action. Okay, Max looks mad. Now, look is one of those multifunctional verbs. You have to be very careful with the word look. Sometimes it could function as an action. At other times, it could function as a linking verb. And in this case, you'll see that Max really isn't looking at anything. Somebody is describing the look on Max's face. So therefore, we have a linking verb. He spit at the dog. Well, spit is an action. Not a very pleasant action either, so we're going to underline that and write A at the end of it. A for action, right? Spitting is gross. Now, the act of spitting here is the topic of discussion. It's functioning as the subject of the sentence. What we're doing here is we're using the word is to link spitting to a word that describes it. Is, therefore, is functioning as a linking verb. Look at me, I'm getting the hang of this thing now. The dog seems mad now. Okay, number 7, it seems mad now. There's no action taking place. Seems is therefore functioning as the linking verb. Carla looked out the window. There's looked again. We have to be careful with look. I told you that, because in this case, I believe there's an action taking place. What is she doing? Looking out the window, or she looked out the window. Past tense ed again. Remember I said to be aware of that. She saw her dad. Well, in this case, she is committing an action here. Past tense form of see, right? So it's an action. Let's see, moving right along. Number 10. Her dad is her best friend. Well, there's no action taking place here, but there is a linking verb, is. It is linking the subject, her dad, to a word that describes or renames it. Now, remember, I could flip this and I could say her best friend is her dad. That means friend in this case is functioning as a predicate noun because it's renaming dad. Now, that's a little higher end thinking about nouns for you, and we're going to get to that later on in the year. Kathy Lou asked for our attention on the intercom. Well, there's an action taking place. Good old Kathy Lou here is asking us for our attention, or she asked, ed ending, so we know that this is, you guessed it, another action. We heard her very well. Okay, the action taking place here is hearing. That, therefore, is an action verb. Okay, moving down just a little bit. Okay, we have a few more left. She sounded funny, though. She sounded funny. Well, you could sound an alarm, But that's not what's happening here. Sounded is another one of those multifunctional verbs. We have to think about what it's doing in this case. It's describing how the noise that she was giving off, basically. Therefore, it's functioning as a linking verb. Kathy Lou is really nice. Well, no action again, but we do have a form of to be, which is. Who or what is really nice? Kathy Lou. So is functioning as a linking verb that is linking us, linking our subject to a word that describes it, which is nice. Isn't that nice? So this is a linking verb. Students and teachers like her. Well, like, once again, is the verb in this case, and it is an action verb. Okay, we're going to go out with a bang here, and the tablet's going to act up on me. Isn't that grand? We'll get rid of that. And you know what? While we're at it, we'll get rid of that. And I will just start from scratch and pencil in action. Or not. Don't be laughing at me as your teacher is struggling with this lovely tablet. Boom, there we go. It only took me a half an hour, but I got it done. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that was your recap of the Verbs Worksheet 1 and 2. Make sure you play the video again if you had any issues with it. I tried to walk you through each one and explain why each one functioned the way that it did. If you have any issues whatsoever, please see your English teachers for help. See you next time.